Welcome to the On Your Side podcast. I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell.
How was the weekend?
It was good.
Not bad.
It was so fun. I did something Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Antelope Canyon.
Okay.
Have you ever been there?
No, I have not.
Oh, see, I thought that every Arizonan had done this. So now I'm feeling pretty good about myself. It is beautiful.
Where's that located?
It's in Page.
Oh, okay.
So a good drive up there.
I think everything in Page is just beautiful. It's just the
stunning.
Natural.
Yeah. This was kind of one of those bucket list things for me. I wanted to do this for a long time, finally made it happen. We kayaked from one of the boat launches in Lake Powell over to the start of the canyon and then hiked through the canyon. It was just epic.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness. It looks otherworldly.
You know, talk about a memorable moment. The kids, I mean, you had the kids with you, right?
No, this was just me and the hubby.
Oh,
we went.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Okay.
My parents are in town visiting, so we left them with the three grandkids.
Well, that's why they're in town,
right?
Right? Get a little babysitting done.
Put them to work.
And you and hubby time together. So what was the drive time up there?
It was about 4.5 or 5 hours.
Oh,
we stopped in Flagstaff on the way up for dinner, and we took our time and just really enjoyed it all.
Spend the night?
Up in Page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so then we woke up early the next morning to do the paddle.
What was I-17 like going up there? I mean, it's been under construction forever. It
was not bad.
Really?
Yeah, we were worried though. You know, we did all the extra checking beforehand, both ways, make sure it's going to be open. We're not going to have any detours or anything like that. And it was smooth sailing.
That's the number one reason why I don't head up north, because the I-17. Once it's completely done with construction, then I'll mosey on up there. But until then, I don't have the patience.
Well, it can be a stressful drive. I mean, we were driving at night for both ways, and you know, some of those roads are pretty narrow.
Yeah.
And so
got to pay attention. Yeah. We're talking about driving.
Let's keep going.
And we're going to transition to teenage driving. And your kiddos, I mean, they're small.
Stop it, Gary. They're not going to be there for a long time.
They're going to be there before you know it. And you are going to be shocked when it comes to trying to insure them behind the wheel.
You know who just went through this?
Who?
Our coworker, Tess.
Oh,
she has triplets.
She has triplets. That's right.
And they turned 16.
I mean, so they all have to share the car.
I think they're sharing two cars between the three of them.
Oh, boy.
And yeah, we've talked about the sticker shock and just kind of the panic of shopping around and realizing, oh my goodness, what happens?
I mean, one kid is bad enough to kind of absorb at a time, but three...
just all in, all at once.
Oh, my goodness.
So, Tess, this one's for you.
Oh, Tess, we feel your pain. Hey, listen, talk about pain. We've got a lot of people spending too much money when they shouldn't be when it comes to insuring your kiddo behind the wheel. So we're going to get some information on that, on the do's and don'ts of insuring teenagers. We're talking to Chris Schafer. He's from Insurify. You're up in Minnesota, right?
I am. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for being on the On Your Side podcast. Do you have any kids?
I do. I am got a couple years yet before I have to worry about it. Mine are 9 and 11.
Okay. All right. Well, like I told Susan, it's going to be here before you know it. Are you prepared? Are you ready?
No.
Absolutely not. Why are you trying to rush us, Gary?
Not at all.
Because, listen, I've said it before. I have two boys, and I remember when they were running around on bicycles, and now they're grown men behind the wheel of a car. You know, one's almost 30. So
happens in the blink.
I'm like, what happened there? So listen, Chris, what's the biggest mistake that moms and dads make when it comes to, getting auto insurance for their teenager?
I think the biggest thing is not shopping around. I mean, a lot of people right away, you're absolutely right. It's going to be expensive, but there are things that you can do to lessen your rates. Obviously, shopping around to make sure that you get the most affordable rate. Different insurers judge different risk factors differently. So one insurer might look at your current risk factors and deem that more risky and charge you a higher rate than another insurer might. So it's in your best interest to look at quotes from a couple of different insurers to make sure you're finding the best rate for you.
Now, I'm going to interject. I'm sorry to interrupt, but does that mean, let's just say I'm with an insurance company and I want to put my my new 16-year-old son on the policy. Does that mean I should put him on a different policy, or should I put him on my policy? Or do I have to go to another insurance company so we're all lumped in together?
No. Yeah, good question. Generally, you are better off to put your son on your policy. You can get your son their own policy, but generally you will pay more for that policy than if you lump them into your policy. So generally, that's the better way to go.
Okay. So shop around. That sounds like a no-brainer.
We got to shop.
Got to shop. What's number 2? What do you got to do?
There's a couple other things that you can do to save money. And some of these are going to be things that your audience has heard before, but they may not understand how impactful they can be. So one of them that I think that we've all heard before is a good student discount that insurers offer. We've all heard that if your child can get a B average or higher. But the truth is that most insurance companies will offer a savings of 10 to 25% if you have that B average. So I think people don't realize that the actual savings there can be quite a bit higher than they maybe expect.
That's a big deal. I mean, up to 25% off is a huge chunk of change in some cases.
Yeah, the savings can really be considerable. And by the same token, insurers will generally offer a discount if your teen takes a defensive driving course. And that discount can generally be between 5 and 15%. So if you add that to the good student discount, you can see how your savings can really start to snowball. And then to your point from earlier of including them on your policy, another thing you can do is if you bundle your auto insurance with your home and renters, which again, you're probably going to need mom and dad's policy to have enough things to bundle, but that can save you a further 5 to 25%. So if you can stack all of those savings together, you can really save a lot of money on your car insurance.
How do auto insurance companies dictate pricing? So for instance, Susan has little Johnny and he's getting ready to
call him his real name.
Cormac. Okay. So Cormac, let's pretend, is 16.
Okay.
And,
oh gosh. Okay.
Okay. I know it's kind of hard.
I'm imagining it. Oh no.
Boy.
Okay.
Yeah. The gray hair will be there. So Cormac is 16 and I have little Johnny. So is the insurance going to be the same for little Johnny as it is for Cormac? Because they're both 16. They're both boys. And they both live in the same zip code, for instance.
Not necessarily. A lot of those factors are the same. A big factor that is going to impact that is the vehicle they drive. If one of them is driving a more expensive vehicle than the other one, then the insurance rates will be higher on the individual driving the more expensive vehicle. By the same token, if somebody is driving a vehicle that has fewer safety features in it, their insurance rates will generally be higher than a person who is driving a vehicle with more safety features in there. Another thing insurers might consider is how much the individual is driving. If it's just hey, I drive the car, a mile and a half to work and back, and that's really all I use it for, you probably pay a lower rate than somebody who's driving it late at night or driving it 150 miles a week or something like that. So usage and the vehicle you operate also play big factors in the insurance rate you'll pay.
We have to find that sweet spot then between having enough safety features that we're not going to get dinged on one end,
right,
but not having a car that's so nice and brand new that it's going to cost a boatload of money to replace.
Right. Let's go back to Susan's teenage years. I know there's one story where you drove and you almost tore the transmission up. But
I had.
But did you ever have a collision when you were a teenager?
No, I didn't.
Never did. Okay.
No, I ran into the basketball pole in my driveway because I was. Do you remember back in the day when you used to have to get photos actually developed?
Yes. Oh, of course.
So I had just gotten a pack of photos developed, and I was so excited, and I was flipping through them while I was backing out of my driveway. My mom and dad were sitting on rocking chairs on the front porch and watching it all unfold. And I wasn't super close. I just scraped along the entire side of the car.
I mean,
they were like, what? I could see them. I couldn't hear them because the windows were up, but I could see them going, what are you doing?
So you didn't back into the pole. You just kind of like sideswiped it on the way out.
Yes, I did.
Oh, gosh. How bad damage? And did you
it was a pretty bad scratch.
Did Dad file a claim?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. That car had a scratch then.
Oh, well, you baptized it, right?
Whoops. Did you have any claims when you were a kid?
I did not. I was rear-ended. Wasn't my fault. But yeah, I had speeding tickets, but
Gary.
I did. Yeah.
How many speeding tickets are we talking about?
That's still a problem for me today.
How many?
Probably between 16 and 18.
Yeah.
Probably 3.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Gary.
Yeah. Well, lead foot.
I got one warning one time. I got pulled over when I was 16, and I was going quite literally 4 miles per hour over the speed limit.
Oh, come on.
Near my house. It was nothing.
Give me a break.
And I think that the police officers in our town were just trying to remind young teenage drivers, go the speed limit. Because I didn't get a ticket. I got a warning, and I didn't tell my parents that I got the warning.
Nor should you.
But I threw it in the glove compartment.
And they found it.
And then my mom found it, and she was like, "Do you have something you would like to tell me?" And this was like from months ago. So it's like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. What are you getting at?
She pulls out the yellow slip of paper.
Did you say, but look closely, Mom, it's a warning.
Yeah.
So, it's
I
not
mean,
costly.
I tried to talk my way out of it, but I was still in trouble.
Hey, that's a good question. Who's more, I guess I'm trying to say, how much more expensive is the gender as far as, is it more to insure a boy or is it more to insure a girl?
Boys are generally more expensive to insure. And that's because overall men cause nearly 41% more car accidents than women.
What?
Yeah. And that's according to data from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Men are also more statistically likely to engage in risky behaviors behind the wheel, including driving under the influence.
Oh.
So yeah, generally men will pay more for car insurance, especially in kind of that target high risk age, which is ages 16 to 19.
No.
That is really, especially when
they're drivers like Gary. I want to go back to when you were talking about, if you only drive a little bit, maybe it's a mile up the street to the high school and a mile back home, and we're not really driving much more than that. How do you actually prove that to the insurance company, or how do you make that a factor in how they're determining what they're charging you?
Yeah, you can do that in a couple different ways. You can do that through discussions with your insurer about how much you will use the car or will not use the car. There's also, some insurers are offering telematics programs that let them monitor your driving to see both how much you're driving, how fast you're driving, how hard you're braking, things like that. And then there are also insurers that really kind of specialize in just drive per mile, pay per mile insurance. So again, kind of in this world that we've been in since 2020, this world of work from home for a lot of people and a lot less travel, those types of insurance options have gotten more popular because if people are not using the car very much, they can save real money doing that.
How about there are other factors? I know when you're going through and shopping around, they always ask you, are you going to be parking in a garage or in the driveway? Or are you parking at an apartment complex versus in a single family home driveway? How does that kind of factor into it for teenagers? Does it differ?
Yeah, it can all impact because if you're parking in a garage, your vehicle is seen as safer than it is if you're parking outside at night or if you're parking in a public area like an apartment building parking lot or something like that. It's just that next little level of protection that can stop your windows from being broken, a theft in the middle of the night, something like that, which lessens the chances that you'll file a claim and then makes you more appealing to insurers.
What kind of trends are you seeing out there when it comes to insurance for teens, like in the future? Anything in your crystal ball?
It's still going to be more expensive. The rates are not lessening, unfortunately. In folks in Arizona, so the average cost for full coverage for teens in Arizona right now is $4,252 a year. That's for full coverage annually, and that's average. And that's a 7% increase year over year from the year before. The good news for Arizona residents, though, is they are below the national average, which is $4,429. But in Arizona, insurance for teen drivers is 116% higher than full coverage insurance for all drivers, for the general population. So yeah, rates are not going down for teens, and teens will continue to pay a higher rate, especially compared to the general population.
Well, it's not the teens paying; it's the moms and dads that are paying.
A lot. That's a lot of money a year.
Let me stop. Let me go back. You said it's an average of $4,000 to
more than
$4,000 to insure a teenager. Does that mean our coworker Tess is paying $12,000 a year?
If we're doing the math right, I'm sure her kids are getting good student discounts, but yeah, it's pricey.
Chris, is that right? I mean, am I doing the math okay?
You're doing the math okay. My hope would be is that the good student discounts are there, and my hope is that there's some type of family bundle plan here where we're throwing 3 teens on policies at the same time. The other part of it too, again, kind of going back to what we talked about before, does she have girls?
1 girl, 2 boys.
Oh boy.
Okay, so the girl is probably cheaper than the 2 boys. The 2 boys are probably paying the higher side of that $4,250.
That's not fair.
And the daughter's probably paying the lower side.
You know what? I could see teenage boys going through, say, like a drive-through or something, and getting their meal and stuffing their face as they're driving. That's probably why they're more more risky.
This conversation is just making me feel good because it means Tess is going to be our coworker forever because she's going to have to keep working forever.
Oh my gosh, she's going to need a second job. This is crazy. Hey, tell us a little bit about Insurify and maybe what Insurify can do for our listeners out there. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Insurify is a price comparison platform, so we're not affiliated with any particular insurer. We just are an open marketplace where drivers, for home or auto insurance, for either one, you can use Insurify, answer a couple of simple questions, and get quotes from over 100 nationwide insurers that are applicable to your area. And then you can kind of what we talked about at the beginning about being able to compare quotes and compare apples to apples and see how different insurers offer rates based on your unique needs and your unique situation, so that you can find the best coverage for you and hopefully save some money.
Yeah, so you're like a broker then, right? You just kind of you allow a platform to kind of let people shop around and land on hopefully a sweet spot.
Yep. Yeah, that's our goal. Again, we don't push any particular insurer. Our goal is to just help people find the best rate they can from the insurance policies that are available.
All right. Any social media or websites we need to know about?
Yeah, Insurify.com, and we are active on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Okay. All right, very good. So the lesson here, I think, Chris, you need to have a separate savings account for your it's going to be teenagers real soon. Susan, we need another little category called, driving for Cormac and the other 2.
I know.
And
I mean, let's not rush Nettie. She's still a baby.
Yeah, that's
I've got plenty of time for her.
How about a bike? The big thing right now is electric bikes.
Oh, gosh. That's a whole different danger.
Yeah, well, stay away from cars. Well, you're right.
You're going off on another podcast tangent, Gary.
All right. Hey, listen, Chris, thanks so much for being on the On Your Side podcast. Great conversation, and hopefully some people learn something when it comes to insuring their teens. So thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you so much for having me.
The On Your Side podcast is produced by Brad Denny. Our audio engineer and editor is Todd Martin. Segment producer is Colin Stanton. And I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell. If you have a problem you can't resolve, maybe we can't, send us a message through azfamily.com or our AZ Family mobile app. Look for the On Your Side section and leave us a message. Thanks so much for listening to the On Your Side podcast. And if you like it, leave us a review. We'll see you next week.
On Your Side is on Good Morning Arizona every weekday morning at 6:45 and 7 o'clock. And every weekday evening on Good Evening Arizona at 4 and 5 o'clock. You can also catch it on Arizona's Family News at 9 on 3TV every weeknight.